Hello, thanks for coming. I'm here this evening to talk to you about signs. The signs in our lives. Signs are everywhere. Indoors, outdoors, on doors, in this room, in our heads, signaling, signifying, warning, inviting. Signs that guide us and lead us. Signs that save us or save us from ourselves or save us from others and or others from us. Signs that lead us toward temptation or lead us not into temptation. Signs that mean something or maybe mean nothing. Signs that are strong or weak or somewhere in between. Signs that are dirty or clean or somewhere in between. Signs of doom, signs of demise or trouble. Signs of rebirth or spring. The swallows return to San Juan Capistrano. Slippery when wet. 6 signs that you might have seasonal affective disorder. Signs are a part of our lives every day, punctuating and regulating the vicissitudes of our quotidian existence. The birds sing before the dawn, the peepers peep before the dusk. Signs are there for us to read if we're paying attention, and there for us to have to follow, sometimes even if we're not, or just plain don't want to. They affect most every part of our lives. They help us to think or beg us to think, or sometimes even help us to not have to think so much. For me, there are 2 main types of signs, those that describe and those that inform. Frequently they overlap, a little Venn diagram with a football-shaped center. The ones that are in the first camp are like this. Thunder. It's the sign of a storm. You can't stand Monday mornings. Could be a sign that you need a new job. Your wife has become very secretive. Could be a sign of an affair. Now, this is a whole big, lovely family of signs that are based upon what we, as humans, artists, husbands, sensitive, sentient beings, witness out in the world. If we keep our eyes and ears and hearts and other senses open. And the more open they are, the more signs we can see and feel and sense and be hurt by. It's the hurt that can happen when you discover that you're not reading the signs as well as you should have or could have, or you're not reading them until it's too late, or maybe you're simply ignoring them, as if there were some way that you could will them into irrelevance by just pretending that they're not there, not valid, don't pertain to you, not obvious, or worse, obvious to everyone but you. The hurt. Eventually, hopefully, it becomes balanced by joy, maybe even to some degree, displaced by joy to some degree. And then they go hand in hand, the 2 of them, hurt and joy, yin and yang, yoni and lingam, merrily along their trail, from the lowlands to the mountain peaks, from sobbing to elation, merrily along their road, following the signs, passing the signs, and maybe even making new signs as they blaze new trails. And there, somewhere down the trails, through the brambles and thickets and burrs, deer ticks and dog ticks and emotional Lyme disease that is never cured but can be controlled with proper administration of medication and a healthy mix of diet and exercise. There lies a place, a destination for some, a surprise for others, and a place to be avoided at all costs for an unfortunate few. A place that some want to come back to over and over again, because it's a place that administers pain and pleasure in measures that somehow feel healthy. And that place, as I call it, that destination for some, that dot on the map, on the road that elation and pain travel so merrily along, is called personal growth. I didn't want to go there at first, I guess. Maybe I even turned my nose up at it in a way. But now I save up my pennies and I open my eyes and my heart and my soul, and I've been getting better at paying attention to the signs and reading the signs, because I now know what they can lead me away from and what healthy feeling place they can lead me to. And naturally, I want less of some and more of the other. And this one place that they lead to, this personal growth place, I want to find my way back there again and again, because it feels healthy and right and good. Now, each trip to that rewarding destination follows a different path. Slightly different or totally different, none of them comfortable, and most of them downright crappy and inhospitable. But when you get there, you feel success, fullness, health. And you plant the flag of your improving psyche on top of that mountain you just rolled that boulder up, the boulder of hard and maybe unpleasant truths. And when, inevitably, you watch that granite behemoth of a boulder rolling back down the mountain, you don't feel sad, you don't cry, maybe. You smile. You smile inside because you just know that on its way back down, no matter how hard that rock really is, little pieces of it will chip off and get left behind. And now that big rock is an infinitesimal smidge smaller. And the trauma of a failed marriage and broken finances, the trauma of loneliness and self-doubt and self-recrimination, the inevitably attendant trauma of life itself is a little bit more manageable. And the weight of the hurt is just a smidge less burdensome. And maybe it's all so good and such a relief, even on that small scale, and even if it might just be temporary, such a relief that you, the traveler, might actually forget for a moment about the signs you saw or even missed, and what a key role they played to get you where you are right now. Some people, maybe some of us, as I've mentioned, never want to make this trip. They can't be bothered to read the signs, or they don't want to read the signs, or they think they just know it all already, or they're too busy, or too skeptical, or too blocked off by too much pain from their youth, and their subconscious will never ever let them face up to it. Maybe something inside even keeps them from reading the signs, or reading the signs correctly. And the signs in their lives are like those damaged parking meters with the little canvas bags over them, padlocked, impenetrable. They might know there's something in the inside, but they can't know for sure what it is, or what it might be. Or maybe, somehow, they really don't want to know. And on some level, they intuit that they couldn't even handle knowing what's there underneath that heavy-duty protective layer of their own creation. And so they don't travel a path, can't be bothered, can't muster the energy or courage or interest to roll that boulder up to the top of that mountain, or even part way up. Sometimes it's a pity, sometimes it's just fine. It seems to me that it must always necessarily, at least, be considered a missed opportunity. Because one of the best things you get at the top of that mountain is perspective. So, those are the signs that describe and where they can take you, and me. The other kind of sign, the other family of signs for me, is the kind that inform, like this. These inform you that you're expected to bring your vehicle to a full stop, which coincidentally is another name for another sign, the period at the end of the sentence. A full stop. It's a sign that the sentence is overdone. And this kind of sign, the sign you can see with untrained eyes and can recognize with an undeveloped soul, that's the kind of concrete sign that's generally easy to decipher. And that kind of sign, that's the one I'm a relative expert at. Well, at least, let's say proficient. I've been making them for years and seeing them for even longer. I've been collecting them, collecting hundreds of them, ever since way back the advent of digital photography. Signs that beckon, signs that inform, signs that warn. Signs that you're going to get attacked by a large barrel or caught in an evil swirly thing. Signs that you're going to get twisted up or have a large triangle fall on you. Or worse, get smashed by a rhombus. Signs that inform you that when you're cutting the grass, you should look out for babies crawling around on your lawn. Signs that someone could lose a foot playing that game, or get their fingers cut off by a hollow and remorseless rectangle. Signs that the toilet is going to eat you, or worse, crack you up and mix you into a large bunt pan. Signs that are funny. This one says, really good deals on things that remind me of my ex. 342 Main Street. Signs that are dirty. Do not fuck the pigeons. Signs that encourage. Signs that discourage. Signs that enchant. And signs that confound. Signs for business or pleasure or education. Signs that tell you what history was, what it is, and what it could be. Herbie Melville, author of Moby Dick, studied and worked during formative years in Albany, 1830-1838, family home at 3 Clinton Square, 1834-1838. Birthplace of modern electricity. Here, discovering magnetic induction, Joseph Henry pioneered the telegraph and electric motor, 1829-31. Now, here coming up are a few more of the signs that I've made over the years, easy, intellectual, highlighting petty or profound hypocrisies of our social and political systems, which are not hard to find. On this site stood Jane King, whose white male co-workers earn 39% more than she does for doing the same job. On this site stood one of America's 12 million illegal immigrants. They pick our food, cook, serve and clean, care for our babies, and earn our scorn. On this site stood Scotty Webb, age 7, who refused to eat his herbicide-resistant, pesticide-producing, genetically engineered vegetables. Twist on an old story. On this site stood a local market bankrupted to buy the monopolistic, make it cheaper in China, anti-union big box store where you shop. Lastly, on this site stood Mary Green. Last year, her company had record profits, laid off half its U.S. workforce, sent the jobs overseas, and still got massive federal subsidies. Signs. They're so ubiquitous and so much a part of our lives that there's actually a whole science devoted to them. It's called semiotics. Here's how Wikipedia describes it. Semiotics, also called semiotic studies, and in the Saussurian tradition called semiology, is the study of meaning-making. The philosophical theory of signs and symbols. This includes the study of signs and sign processes, semiosis, indication, designation, likeness, analogy, metaphor, symbolism, signification, and communication. Wikipedia goes on further to describe the different types of signs. Astrological signs, like Pisces. Sign language. Gang signs. In tracking animals, signs are the evidence left behind that an animal has been there. Sign can mean an indication that a previously observed event is about to occur again. They're the basic elements of diagnosis of a whole host of problems. 10 signs you have a bad temper. 10 signs you're staying in your marriage too long. 12 signs your kids are doing drugs. 5 signs you're living beyond your means. Signs you have an enlarged prostate. 10 signs you have dementia. 6 signs you worry too much. In divination and religion, sign is an omen. A sign is an omen, an event or an occurrence believed to foretell the future. Or a sign is a coincidence or surprising event, thought to reveal divine will. In linguistics, it's the combination of a concept and a sound image, as described by Ferdinand de Saussure. In math, the sign of a number tells whether it's positive or negative. In computer language, it means something else, something I can't even begin to understand, much less explain. In medicine, it's objective evidence of the presence of disease or disorder. A sign is something that instructs, advises, informs, or warns. A traffic sign, a commercial sign, a signature even. And finally, as Wikipedia ultimately defines it, for marketing or advocacy purposes, signage refers to the collective use of signs to convey a message. Like this one. This sign, many of you may already know, and I just wanted to share it with you. Share with you a little fun fact about the not-so-fine folks who made it, at the hate factory called the Westboro Baptist Church. Our friends to the north, our NAFTA partners for now, and purveyors of poutine and Labatt's Blue, Canada, have actually forbidden the people who make and carry those signs from entering their country, which I think is a sure sign of governmental intelligence and integrity. If you see any signs of that from our own government, I'd love to hear about it. Could be a sign that things are not actually getting worse, or even a sign that things are getting better, as I am. People thank them or curse them, ignore them, or blindly follow them, but apart from a few horrid examples, signs in their abstractness, their concreteness, their specificity, and their vagueness can be a powerful tool to help us get where we want to go and keep away from where we don't, if we're just lucky enough and smart enough to see them and know how to decipher them. Thank you.